Thank you, Deputy Chief Justice. Your Excellency, our President and Commander-in-Chief, my Lord Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya and other law lords present, our Attorney General, our ministers present, ladies and gentlemen, my very brief. When you talk environment, sometimes you want to talk from your heart. Everywhere you go in our villages, our grandmothers, our elder citizens have a very common talk that it is not and has never been like this. They'll tell you when we settled here, this was a forest and you see no tree around. They'll tell you when we settled here, there was a spring down there and there's no that any legislative proposals that comes to Parliament on many matters, but particularly on environment, will be given top priority. Your Excellency, we need a serious review of environmental-related legislation because most of it predates our independence, when we used to tap offenders on the wrist and tell them to go away. People armed with power source mowing down forests with impunity, get away with it. People who release pollutants into our fresh water sources like rivers, get away with impunity. I'm sure, Your Excellency, a year ago you read the serialization in one of our dailies of the death of Athi River, right from Nairobi, where is the source, to the end in the Indian Ocean. It's a sludge. And from that sludge, wananchi grow crops that they bring back to us to eat, highly toxic material. So as the judiciary gets at the centerpiece of greening the world, the judiciary only enforces the law that we pass. And they also punish those that you take there to be punished. The Chief Justice will not stand on the street corner and hunt for offenders. She sits and waits for them. So I urge the executive, Your Excellency, to be firm in dealing with those who destroy environment, those who pollute our environment, those who pollute our rivers. And finally, you are all Africans. We are told in every symposium we go that the Congo Basin and the Amazon Basin are the lungs of the world. But every day you fly over the Congo or read about the Congo, you are told of how many millions of acres of Congo are disappearing. We urge you, the law lords, to ensure that you also exert a bit of influence on the executive. Don't sit there and wait for the laws to be brought to you to interpret and administer. Also make proposals to the executive that this law, the punishment is too lenient, the enforcement is difficult, make it easier so that we can be able to protect our environment. Your Excellency, I want to salute you for announcing that Kenya is going to plant 15 billion trees. This is a very positive step. But as we plant the trees, Your Excellency, we must have a clear roadmap on how to plant the trees, how to look after those trees, and how to protect those trees. In certain jurisdictions, you cannot cut down a tree in your own home without permission. But in our country, sometimes we take liberties and cut trees that are not even on our properties. Let me end here by saluting all of you, Lords, with our Chief Justice taking the lead for bringing this important meeting to Kenya. And I believe that at the end of the meeting, Kenya will be a lot richer in our protection and sustainment of our environment. Thank you, Chief Justice. I now invite you.
Thank you very much, my brother, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto. I've already recognized the Speaker, the Honorable Chief Justices from the various jurisdictions present here this morning, the Deputy Chief Justice, Cabinet Secretary, and the Attorney General, all the judges from various jurisdictions present, Your Excellencies, judges, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Indeed, it is an honor and a great privilege for me to stand before you today and welcome you to Nairobi, the green city in the sun. But before I speak, I wish to recognize the former two Chief Justices, the Honorable Professor Willy Mutunga, our first Chief Justice under the Kenya Constitution, and the Honorable Justice David Maraga. Many people have mentioned your name. If you could come here, both of you, my lords, and just say hello to these delegates. I am very, very honored to have you in this forum. I am standing on your great shoulders because you started the judiciary on a transformation. Please greet the audience.
Habari zenu? Karibuni Kenya.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Chief Justices here present, and all the dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a great pleasure to be with you here. When I was in Zimbabwe in 2019 and I requested that this meeting be held here, we thought we were going to hold it in 2020, but we all know what happened and it was not possible. I'm happy, Chief Justice, that at last it is come and you've been able to host this meeting here. We are delighted to have all of you here. May God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, my brothers. I stand on their broad shoulders because they set up the judiciary transformation framework that set us on the path of ensuring that we create a very strong, independent judiciaries. When I became the Chief Justice, we agreed we continue on that trajectory, and the only diversion I took is that I am a woman, I wear shoe number 5, and they are high heels. I warned myself not to walk in their shoes, but to stand on their shoulders, which is the framework that they established. Thank you very much, my brothers. As we gather here, we are not lamenting. We as Africa, we are solidifying our voices to say that we will firmly protect our environment. because it affects us, and we have the responsibility to own it and care for it for the future generations. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for speaking from your heart, because I think we need to simplify this message of environmental protection. And I, being a child rights defender, what I'm telling people now is that we need to nurture our environment the same way we nurture our children. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to each one of you for making time to come to Nairobi to attend this symposium. Your Excellency, this is indeed a sign of all our unwavering commitment and dedication to the cause of environmental justice. And your esteemed presence today is a testament to the importance and urgency of the issues we are here to discuss and also to resolve. We as African judiciaries, we have already agreed on a pathway to forge a corrective front in the fight against climate change. As we gather here in Nairobi, I am happy to share with you that the Kenyan judiciary is committed to serving as the hub for African judiciaries dialogue. We need to talk to each other as Africans. You have heard that we are bearing a bigger burden of the effect of the climate change. This is enough to bring us together. And for us, in the Kenyan judiciary, we view hosting regional judiciaries dialogues also as a means of fostering the development of African jurisprudence that is responsive to the unique concerns and aspirations of our continent. It is our vision to create a robust and dynamic platform for knowledge exchange, for our capacity building, and collaboration among African judiciaries, enabling us to better understand, interpret, and apply the law to promote the social development and transformation of our respective judiciaries. In this context, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we view this 3-in-1 symposium on climate change as part of regional judicial dialogue aimed at providing a platform for us African judges and judicial officers to exchange ideas, learn from each other, and acquire the requisite knowledge, skills, and tools needed to effectively address the challenges facing our continent. As we all know, our continent is particularly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. Our people, our economies, and our natural resources are all at risk as we grapple with the devastating consequences of rising temperatures, erratic weather patterns, and loss of biodiversity. It is within this context that our courts must play a decisive role in driving the adaptation, mitigation, and resilience-building efforts required to combat climate change and to secure a sustainable future for our people. Indeed, our courts are the guardians of the rule of law and protectors of the constitutional rights, including the fundamental right to a clean and healthy environment. As judges, we have unique responsibility of interpreting and applying the law in a manner that promotes environmental sustainability, social equity, and intergenerational justice. This requires us to be bold, to be innovative, and proactive in our approach to environmental litigation, ensuring that our decisions and judgments contribute to the realization of a greener, more resilient Africa. In Kenya, we have made significant strides in promoting a transformative environmental constitutionalism that is rooted in the provisions of our Constitution and the jurisprudence of our National Environmental Tribunal and the Environment and Land Court and other superior courts. Our courts have played a critical role in advancing environmental justice in Kenya by interpreting and applying the Constitution and other laws in a manner that promotes sustainable use and management of our land and natural resources. But moving forward from this symposium, we are saying we need to work with everybody else and also build their capacities and build their awareness about environmental protection. And as we look to the future, it is imperative that our judiciaries in Africa will continue to play a proactive role in the fight against climate change and building successes and lessons learned from our experiences thus far. We must be unyielding in our pursuit for justice, ensuring that our decisions and judgments contribute to the realization of a greener, more resilient and sustainable Africa. In this regard, I call my brother and sister Chief Justices and judges present here today. We all join hands in a united front against climate change. We leverage on our collective wisdom, expertise, and our power of convening others to develop a jurisprudence that is uniquely African and responsive to our shared concerns. Let us collaborate, let us learn from one another, and share our experiences as we work together to build a brighter, more sustainable future for our continent and our people. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, allow me to reiterate that as guardians of the rule of law and the protectors of the constitutional rights of our people, we have a unique responsibility to ensure that our decisions and judgments contribute to greener, resilient, and sustainable Africa. Let us seize this moment to reaffirm our commitment to the cause of environmental justice and to pledge our unwavering support to all the efforts that have been put together by our respective judiciaries in combating climate change. Together we can make a difference, and together we can build a brighter, more sustainable future for our continent and our people. I wish you all a very, very fruitful and enriching symposium, and I am confident that our deliberations in the next few days will yield meaningful insights and lasting partnerships that will serve to strengthen our collective resolve in the fight against climate change. Once again, Your Excellency, I extend a very, very warm welcome to our guests to Nairobi and pray that our shared efforts in pursuit of environmental justice will bear fruit for generations to come. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, my lords and ladies, please join me as I welcome His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, to address this gathering and officially open the symposium. Welcome, sir, to come and address us.
Please, let's take our seats. Madam Chief Justice and President of our Supreme Court, Madam Deputy Chief Justice, Chief Justice Emeritus, the Honorable Willie Mutunga, and the Honorable David Maraga, Chief Justices from various parts of our continent, judges of the Supreme Court, distinguished judicial officers from different parts of our continent, ladies and gentlemen, and our visitors, good morning and welcome. Welcome to Nairobi and welcome to Kenya. I join Madam Chief Justice for the convener of this symposium in welcoming you to both Nairobi and Kenya. Let me volunteer some information about Nairobi and about Kenya. About Nairobi, this is the city that has a national park within 10 minutes from your hotel. So you may find some lion or cheetah, because sometimes they escape from the national park. Please be careful, because they are not domesticated. Welcome to Kenya. And again, on this one, I speak with the authority of a scientist, being a scientist myself, that science has proved that Kenya is the cradle of mankind. You may find yourself having this feeling that you are more at home here than from where you come from. Please understand that this is where we all started, and we can tell you, welcome home. And it is inspiring to be here to witness Africa's judicial leadership as you mobilize your judicial authority, intellectual power, and moral commitment to intervene in our generation's defining struggle. I am highly encouraged to note the depth of thought in your appreciation of the existential magnitude of climate change and of the imperative for urgent action by all stakeholders anchored on common institutional coordination. Although climate change is a universal existential threat, there is good reason for Africa's institutions and leadership to drive the agenda of mitigating its effects and eliminating the human activity that is driving it. The first reason is the fact that Africa is by far the least polluting continent, yet it is by far the most adversely affected by climate change. The entirety of industrial and economic activity from all of the continent's economies contributes less than 5% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. These emissions are the cause of a steady and dangerous rise in global temperatures, which have resulted in the extinction of plants and animal species, rise in sea levels, disruptions in climate patterns, drought, and desertification. The brunt of these adverse effects and impacts has been borne by vulnerable African populations residing in less developed parts of the world. Droughts are more frequent and more severe. Our region has undergone a 5-season-long drought, which has decimated domestic and wild animal populations, wiped out food crops, disrupting and threatening the lives of millions of people. Water stress caused by climate change has been devastating, both directly and as a driver of conflict over water and pastures. Poverty has been exacerbated by loss of livestock, which forms the mainstay of pastoralist economy, economic livelihoods, and massive crop failure, which weakened the foundations of farming economies. In addition to drought, African populations are experiencing floods, heat waves, and outbreak of climate change-related diseases. African livelihood, security, and development is in danger and will remain at stake unless we collectively wage aggressive combat to reverse the situation through policies and other institutional action to implement mitigation, enhance adaptation, and build resilience. The looming climate disaster is particularly tragic for Africa, which is entering a new, promising era of peace and prosperity as the continent of the future. Many vital indicators affirm that indeed Africa is rising, powered by its youthful population, energy, resources, and hope. It is important for Africa to undertake concerted action to win the war on climate change because it is disproportionately affected by its adverse impacts and also because necessary global responses to climate change are going to institute structural change. The institutional configurations and economic resets emanating from this structural change will install Africa not only as a continent of the future, but as the world's green economic superpower. Africa is abundantly endowed with all the resources required to power green industrialization. Our clean and green power potential is incomparable. Just to give you indications, 92% of our grid in Kenya is clean and green. It is the case in many other African countries, and the potential to make it the case in many African nations is real and is possible. Our clean and green power potential, as I said, is immense. Hydro, geothermal, wind, and solar power potential is super abundant. The mineral resources needed for green energy technology also exists plentifully in our continent. We are the world's youngest continent, with a mean age of 25 and growing younger every year. Our people constitute a 3 billion strong market and a pool of skilled, motivated, and capable workforce. Future global sustainability will depend on a robust engagement with Africa in many fundamental ways. The world knows this, and African institutions and stakeholders must be ready for this engagement. And that is why this symposium is very important. I am very proud of the firm commitment demonstrated by the African Union in this matter. At COP27, which was held last November in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, Africa's voice was clear. The development path taken by the world's economic and industrial powers is unsustainable and prejudicial to Africa and the global South. Climate change has brought home that fact in sobering detail. Africa is emphatic that although prosperity is an urgent goal to liberate our people from the indignity of poverty and inequality, the path of pollution is not an option. The African Union prefers a more ecologically responsible industrialization, one that promotes multi-sectoral climate resilience in agriculture and food systems, water resources, energy, transport and infrastructure, among others. We also insist, quite firmly, that international development financing must be more appropriate for the needs of our existential moment in terms of how much resources is accessible, affordable, and adequate. In February, I was encouraged to witness the impressive level of of activity accomplished by African group of negotiators, especially at COP27, as well as the various African climate change initiatives. The Committee of African Heads of State and Governments on Climate Change, which I chair, also coordinates various African climate change commissions that are doing extremely important work in many regions of our continent to implement the Africa Climate Change and Green Recovery Agenda. I'm also honored to lead Kenya's participation in these regional, continental, and climate actions. It is a privilege to join our African brothers and sisters in this good fight and make our contribution to the defining struggle of our generation. Africa is alive to the imperative of this moment in a way that is simply inspiring. I will share with you Kenya's experience of this journey so far. From the very inception, our aspirations for economic development and shared prosperity has been inextricably tied to a firm commitment to environmental sustainability. In my earlier statement, I did paint the picture of where we are as a continent. I mean, the power of industrialization that has been premised on fossil fuels, despite its adverse effects, is what has driven industrialization in the world so far. The world today is at a crossroads. The crossroads being, do we continue the fossil fuel-powered industrialization, which is destroying our globe with disastrous effects, or do we go green? I think that decision is no longer a decision that we are waiting to make. It is an existential threat that faces us as humanity, and the option is already made for us that we can only go green. Why Africa is in a pivotal position as we go green is because, number one, Africa has the highest reserves and potential for green energy, whether it is geothermal, wind, solar, hydro. No other part of the world has the resources we have. Number two, we have the resources in our continent, the mineral resources, the natural resources, for green energy technology. Number three, we have the greatest potential for green, sustainable agriculture and food production, because 2/3 of the world's uncultivated arable land is in Africa. And number four, we have the youngest population, energetic, innovative, creative. And in any case, 1/4 of the world's population will live in the African continent by 2050. So if you are looking for the people to work for this globe, for humanity, whether you like it or not, they will be in the African continent. Forget about the small migration that is happening now from Africa. Shortly, I promise you, the migration will be in the opposite direction. Very shortly. The only thing that stands between us and the huge potential we have in this continent. And I want to encourage you, as Chief Justices of our continent, the only thing that stands between us and this huge potential is a financial system that was designed to serve a different time. And that is why we are insisting that we must rethink the international financial system to align it with the reality and the imperative of this moment. It is not sustainable anymore for us at the IMF and the World Bank and the International Financial Institution in its current configuration. And we are not saying we want an international financial system that is favorable to Africa. No. We want an international financial system that is fair to everybody. Having a fair international financial system is not asking for too much. I think it's just asking for what is fair. We want to access development resources at the same rate as everybody else is. It is a fallacy for anybody to imagine that it is possible to grow any part of the world to the exclusion of any other part of the world. Because whether we like it or not, we share this globe. And if today anybody imagines that climate change is affecting the global south more than the global north, it won't be for long. Shortly, we will all either float or sink. So the sooner we have a fair international financial system that makes it possible for us as humanity to exploit all the resources available to us in a sustainable manner, the better for all of us as humanity. The sooner we get ourselves there, the better. As a continent, we want to have a conversation that is balanced. Even as we demand for a fair international financial system, Africa will be coming to the table with our assets. We will not be coming to the table in any other manner. We will come to the table with our assets. We have tremendous renewable energy resources that can power green industrialization, green sustainable agriculture. We will be coming to the table with millions of enthusiastic, hardworking, innovative, creative young people. We will be coming to the table with our natural and mineral resources that can be used for green technology to power the world's future. We will be coming to the table with a huge 3 billion African market. So we will be coming with assets. And I think, good people, we must make our case unapologetically so that we can occupy our place on the table. Because I am told, if you are not on the table, you possibly could be in the menu. The commitment by the people of Kenya goes further and deeper. When we enacted a new constitution in 2010, we placed the environment at the foundation of our normative and institutional architecture. The fourth paragraph of our Constitution's preamble states that our respect for the environment and determination to sustain it was one of the motivating premises in enacting our Constitution. Article 42 entrenches a clean and healthy environment as a fundamental human right, while Article 67 and 70 set out the framework for the enforcement of environmental rights and obligations. Once we enter the domain of rights and obligations, the respective mandates of the three arms of government automatically follow. Article 21, the state is required as a fundamental duty to take legislative, policy, and other measures required to actualize these rights. Because of the centrality of land in economic and social and cultural and environmental discourse, the Constitution institutes a robust framework for land and environmental governance with a dedicated constitutional commission and the consequential establishment of the Land and Environment Division of the High Court. The Court adjudicates matters related to land, including natural resources and environmental sustainability. As a matter of national policy, Kenya has been involved in environmental diplomacy since the early years of our republic. At the famous Stockholm Conference in 1972, my predecessor and all of us, we impressed on the United Nations for the need to have a dedicated multilateral environmental agency and lobbied to host it in Africa. As a result, the headquarters of the United Nations Environmental Programme, UNEP, is based here in Nairobi. It means it remains the only UN global headquarters in the global south. And for your information, the largest. In 1992, Kenya called the world's attention to the emerging threat of depletion of the ozone layer by toxic emissions and to the buildup of greenhouse gas emissions, which posed dangerous consequences on life on Earth. Today, we remain strongly committed to our national tradition of championing ecological responsibility throughout the world, but starting here at home. In 2016, Parliament enacted the Climate Change Act, providing us the institutional framework to anchor the national response to climate change. It also legislated the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, which sets out the principles, standards, and procedures for the sustainable use, conservation, and management of the environment and all our natural resources. In December last year, I launched a national tree planting drive. The Forest and Rangeland Restoration Initiative aims to grow 15 billion trees by the year 2030, and this will increase the national tree cover from the current 12.3% to 30%, which will be 3 times the constitutionally mandated minimum of 10%. It will further contribute to our African Landscape Restoration Initiative target, as well as other initiatives to restore degraded lands, forests, and water towers. The Government of Kenya is also taking measures to ensure that every ministry, department, and agency aligns its policies, strategies, programs, and projects with our green agenda. Strengthening the role of judiciaries in addressing climate change in Africa, which is the theme of this symposium, is highly appropriate, and it is also of fundamental significance to our collective readiness to take up global leadership in post-transition economic and industrial order, and thus usher the world into a future of green, clean, and inclusive prosperity. I congratulate you for holding the 3rd Regional Symposium on Green Judiciaries in Africa. I also recognize that you are also holding the 3rd Chief Justice Forum on Environmental Law, as well as the 3rd General Conference of the Africa Judicial Education Network on Environmental Law. Thank you for doing it now and hosting them here in Kenya. We are deeply honored to be your hosts, and I hope that we have lived up to your reputation to our reputation of legendary hospitality, magical attraction, and delightful experiences. Critically, this event demonstrates beyond any doubt that our judiciaries have come of age. We cannot take this development for granted because our judiciaries will determine whether Africa's institutions exist and are ready to handle the immense mandate that a green future entails for all of us and for the world. Claims, disputes, standards, rights, and responsibilities related to the use of land and natural resources, the institutional framework for financing climate change, carbon trading and exchanges, and transition management frameworks are only some of the areas in which our judiciaries are going to be involved. They must, therefore, pronounce themselves in a manner consistent with the values and aspirations of a continent on the rise. Greening our judiciaries will be inevitably multi-sectoral and interdisciplinary. Beyond local and international human rights, constitutional environment, trade, and economic law, our judiciaries must be exposed to diverse fields such as ecology, economics, agriculture, food systems, trade and finance, carbon markets, energy, and infrastructure, just to mention a few. To fully play your part in arbitrating and auditing Africa's aspirations to lead a new industrial revolution, our judiciaries will have to collaborate across the length and breadth of our continent, engage with diverse knowledge domains, and interact with numerous sectors. They should also formulate a unified understanding of sustainability as the guarantor of prosperity, peace and security, ecological integrity, and human well-being. Your decisions will matter a great deal. They will shape climate governance and enhance environmental justice by promoting accountability for environmental harm and facilitating collective action by all stakeholders. A few days ago, the UN General Assembly passed a resolution that the International Court of Justice renders an opinion obligating the world's biggest emitters to take responsibility for their actions. I equally challenge our judiciary to be creative and imaginative and develop jurisprudence that will enhance climate action based on the polluter pays principle. You must not underestimate your capacity because it leads to positive change. I agree with our Chief Justice's statement that our judiciary should not be left behind in this fight for our sustainable future. I therefore urge you to intensify your conscious place in this historic moment and take a decision to have your voices heard for the sake of our generations and the generations yet to be born. You are here to contribute a chapter to the world's history. I encourage you to proceed and write a fresh chapter of African resilience, sustainability, and global leadership in a new green industrial age. Together with the rest of Africa, I look forward to receiving a positive report about your robust engagements and fruitful deliberations. It is now my pleasure to declare the third Regional Symposium on Green Judiciaries in Africa formally opened. Thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless our great continent. Asante sana.
Can we just have one more warm applause for our President, Your Excellency? Thank you for those wonderful words. We only have two things we'd like to do in this program as we wind up. One is to finish off with the national anthem. Then we have some pictures we'd like taken, and your lords and lady justices, kindly I request that I guide you on the photos. The third thing will be lunch. Of course, after such a wonderful speech, it would be nice to have something in our stomach. So we'll start with the national anthem, then I'll guide you on how we're going to do the photos.
Mwamogusii TV. Mwamogusii TV. Mwamogusii TV. Enkoro Mwamogusii.
Down a bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
There you
Yeah.
are. Yeah, go slowly.
Well, I'll begin again. Today, Honorable William Samoei Ruto, who was my opponent in the last year's elections, has issued what I regard as an important statement since the election. We have
Somebody should be doing it.
It's okay.
Finish.
we have met
Tunaenda very fast.
We have met and listened to a diverse group of Kenyans, including religious leaders from all faiths, about the crisis facing our country today. They have implored us to give dialogue, especially during these holy periods of Easter and Ramadan. It is in this context that we make this counter offer to Hon Ruto's call for dialogue. Mr. Ruto has asked me and Azimio to enter into a constitutional, open-ended and binding dialogue with this government to find a resolution to the issues that we in Azimio have raised about the last year's election and the key governance and the cost of living issues facing our country. As Kenyans know, we disputed the 2022 election results declared by the then IBC chairman, Wafula Chebukati, and a minority of 2 commissioners against the express decision of a majority of 4 commissioners to reject those results. To our consternation, the Supreme Court unfortunately agreed with the IEBC. We refuse to accept the ruling of the Supreme Court as biased and lacking in proper jurisprudence. Since then, we have widely consulted with the people of Kenya throughout the width and breadth of this great country of ours. We have held rallies and more recently demonstrations in Nairobi and elsewhere. We believe that the people of this country understand the danger we face as a country. In our view, elections are sacred because they must represent the true voice of the people. We have raised the key issues that we face as a country, including the electoral injustice, the cost of living, the legitimacy of the IBC, the opening of the server for a forensic audit, the savage attacks on media and innocent civilians by the police, and the viability of our democracy, including buying off of members of parliament. We have said that members of parliament, once elected in political parties, must carry that mandate for the rest of the life of that parliament. I believe that Kenya is today facing its worst crisis in decades, out of which we could recover or go the way of other failed states. As leaders, it is our responsibility in Azimio, As leaders, it is our responsibility in Azimio la Umoja to save this country from the catastrophe. We as Azimio la Umoja have resolved the following. 1. We acknowledge Mr. Ruto's olive branch for a dialogue on key issues raised by Azimio la Umoja. To us, this is a positive development. 2, we agree that a balanced parliamentary process, co-chaired by both sides and backed by experts from outside, should proceed. In our view, this committee must be composed with immediate effect, with strict deadlines for resolving the crisis facing the country. 4, in accepting the call for dialogue, we ask that all arrests and prosecutions related to our demonstrations be stopped with immediate effect. In view of the foregoing, we stand down our demonstrations for Monday, that is tomorrow, April 3rd, 2023. 6, but in doing so, we want to emphasize that the right to assemble, to demonstrate, petition, and to speak are ironclad as provided for in our Constitution. 7, therefore, we reserve our rights to call for demonstrations should this process not bear fruit. Should there be no meaningful engagement or response from Hon Ruto to our counter-offer, we resolve to resume our demonstrations after 1 week. We have said several times that demonstrations, picketing, processions, petitions are enshrined in our Constitution, and therefore they are not criminal. We have also said that we as Azimio have never organized criminals to vandalize businesses of innocent, hardworking Kenyans. This is the work of our distractors. Our distractors have all the times tried to show these demonstrations as being violent and aimed at destroying businesses of other people. We want them to desist from doing so. And we want to underscore the point that demonstrations are a fundamental right of each and every Kenyan. Therefore, we would like to see other organizations, particularly human rights organizations, turned out and condemn these heinous acts which have been committed by the state. There have also been excessive use of force by the police. Police officers are meant to keep law and order. But if you find a situation where police officers are using live bullets against unarmed civilians, it is of course basically a reckless police force which wants to cause life which they are supposed to protect. We actually protest in the strongest terms possible about this violation of the fundamental rights of our people. We say that we are ready to embrace dialogue and that we will engage as long as Mr. Ruto and his team are ready to engage. We as Azimio are ready because we want a peaceful resolution to the differences that we are having in this country. We want to strengthen our democracy. We want our election to have meaning, that how Kenyans vote is actually what is eventually announced by the Electoral Commission. And we have also said that we do not want to see the 4 commissioners who had said no to be sacrificed. We want those commissioners to be reinstated so that we can be able to move in as a country in a one and a united way. So we are ready as Azimio. I'm saying in conclusion We were ready to engage. We will engage without any kind of coercion in whatever way. And this process could start as early as tomorrow. I thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any question?
No question. Fantastic.
Do you have any questions?
Yes.
No, they don't.
They don't have.
My name is Brian Mushiri from NTV. What is your position on the cost of living? Because there are some who engaged in the weekly protest because of the high cost of living that the country is currently experiencing.
That is contained in the statement. You have stated clearly as one of our irreducible minimum demands. And you are saying that when we engage in a bipartisan manner, we will raise this issue of the cost of living so that we can be able to alleviate the suffering of our people. You have said that at times like this, we should go back to subsidies which are being applied by the former regime so that the cost of living can come down to the majority of our people. So that is, it's not compromisable. It is one of our irreducible minimums.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well done.
Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV aletiro, Mwamogusii serobotakagusi, Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV. Enkoro Mwamogusii. Onye kurangwa kuyale tange ane naye Mwamogusii. Onye kurangwa kuyale tange ane na kwera Mwamogusii. Mwamogusii TV. Mwamogusii TV. Mwamogusii TV aletiro kuraku. Mwamogusii serobotakagusi. Mwamogusii TV. Enkoro Mwamogusii.
Ya basi mwancho mulire na kwali ni Mwamogusii TV enkoro Mwamogusii na nero ni goturi maigase studio taite gusanga naya abere atatu timatinganga yi tumwali tubona iga gosinkio kala sitche bona iga kwa ndari ukoira ya mase ya mubaka se orgongo go sasense ya Saudi se tukuligi musubati kurukunga Jessica nko taitore Maria tandi go chimotuya kurunga Jessica Nyaboke na turega iga na familia yeko morigia abono toje kusanga studio because maitenga Mwamogusii TV nere well connected moso chise chisiko na boy go ni maitenga ntubuga tabana maminto Maria bago turigereria na karo kende kabaye gutungu mochano norase ngote bale batubugatisi ase obuango egere tonya konyora majibu ase kintu tukuriya so nago sabirenga ase video sana about comment if you have any information about that lady tafadhali naomba uache comment hapo chini ili itupatie urahisi wa kuweza kumtafuta huyu dada yetu ambaye amepotea. For more information digatusange pamoja ni familia rega egere banya gotoinga ndia rwete gaiga for how long yaberegaria and actually what happened. Then from there tunyale gukonya na inja monaye elinde go trace wose konyorore family information yetakeire elinde abanyali gwisanikanga omwana omwabo Steve ali gose nale katika hali hatari tumanyenga na kikero kindi twanyale obukonyi genda kuri Mwamogusii TV enkoro y'Omugusii
ose wairire
okay
yes
nakemalita
asamaleta nkuru kwa Pastor Evans Mukwandru
yes
kurwa chinsemo cha South Mugirango ensemo ya Nyamondo
okay
ose umuchukuru kumugenda yeah
karibu sana Mwamogusii TV enkoro y'Omugusii
yeah
kiriki yakoletera bakachia se chinyomba cha Mwamogusii
egento kiandetere paka se chinyomba cha Mwamogusii omuralia na so kumuligia umusubati oyo beto kurwa ase family ito around last year akagenda ase chinsemo cha Saudi Arabia
okay
ase minjuko genda kweligeria
okay
nabwate abana akaranga eidobo gima Kenya na ubwa muberero bokongu
yes
agasoka sinjo genda kweligeria
okay what happened exactly pakari missing communication na kiabire gose na Kenya orte connection yaye ya kuruga iga kwenda paka se ya Saudi
a connection yaye ekera ko inyora ainyorete kura sumu swati okuru kwa Legina nere omo headed election
yes
akagenda sense ya Saudi Arabia but twabire togosanga na gukwana nera chinga kya kurumaega oyegete January this year akagenda off lakini njire kuri gukwaneka neringa ekatokobwa togofuatilia umano na bekurikala kananga tali ya sale safe
okay
that's why tuacha torolenga Mwamogusii nyara gotokonya
okay mwekerere
Regina tuatemire kumuligia ase sini tuatemire kumwakela several lakini tali kopika kerongo nyora chinga eli tukona mwakete sini around 2 days ago akabuguli sini but agantebinga long number kurwabuna abere simi
okay igo mwana ukwana kendi gyonse
no ntwane gukwana nele kendi gyonse kerongo nyora mwakete simi gantebinga long number
hello
yes
ni Regina fanya na kampuni yako na aliweza kwa sasa hivi familia inauliza kama unajua chochote kumuhusu
nani
so unaweza niambia pia
where are you calling from
I'm calling from Kisii one of the station inaitwa Mwamogusii
station is a what
yeah
what station no station what station
sio station
ya police station
no sio station ya polisi ni kituo cha utangazaji yeah
no let me tell you Jessica went to Saudi I sent her to work in Saudi Arabia I'm a registered agent
yes
with a contract we sent her to a family she attempted to run away akashikwa
okay
akashikwa na polisi out there so wakampeleka ofisini
yes
walipompeleka ofisini when she was being processed to come back she ran away
kutoka kwa ofisi
yes from the office
okay
from the office accommodation so of course she's housed by the office as they process her paperwork to come back home
okay
that is her exit plus a ticket and when she was there we spoke akaniambia nimsamehe nikamwambia mimi siwezi kumsamehea because the moment alishikwa na polisi automatically she's put on the list for exit
yes
so there is no way she can work so that was it and that is the short story about Jessica
so paka sasa hivi julikani alipo
I wouldn't know because once he ran away my work ends there
ilishia hapo
yes
Saa pole kwa kuuliza maswali mengi.
I'm by somebody from Tuko, I don't know from where I have, and I'll be very honest.
Ni konsani ya familia.
The reason I'm asking you is because I don't even know who is calling me because also I'm called by so many people.
Yeah.
It is quite unfortunate because I told the family to go to the authorities.
Okay.
Which is NAR and Minister of Foreign Affairs. Yes, let me be someone from there and give the story. I've already, the authorities have the information because I even have a police report from Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Na kuna msichana ya Kisii kwamba amelipatikana amekufa, sijui kama umefuatilia kama ni yeye ama ni mwingine.
Kiza, I do not have such details. The details I have are what my office should know. Yes.
So hizo
And you told me you're who?
This is Dennis.
Dennis who?
Onyamo.
From which station?
Mwamogusii.
Okay, I'm asking you that because I'm recording this call.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's okay, and thanks for that.
No, it's important because I also need to capture such details, because when you ask me such a question, it is not in my place to respond to you because I cannot know. The moment a girl runs away in Saudi Arabia, my work heads there. Yes.
No, it's okay. That's what we wanted to know, so that tuweke report
No problem. It is quite in order to ask. Yes.
Tulikuwa nataka tuweke report pale nje if there is anybody ambaye amemuona, the family is so much concerned to know where she
No,
is.
it's okay. You know, for the family, if she's not communicating to her family, I don't know how to help them, because now when these girls are leaving, I cancel them. And I tell them the dangers of running away. If you're distressed, call me. I will call the office on the other side. Yes, and this girl, honestly, she was not distressed because she actually tried to run away from her employer. Because when she said she was distressed, the office said they are going to go there and find out whether she's genuinely distressed. She attempted to run away.
Na pale kwenye ofisi kula ambako walikamatwa kaenda, it means kwamba hakuna enough security, anybody can just run away from the office.
You know, when you go somewhere,
yes,
it is not a jail. Isn't it?
Yeah.
This girl has not been sent to Saudi Arabia to run away. And she was safely in an office. The office that is taking care of her, the office that is known by the government to be the office that has recruited her. So her choice of running away, the office had that tied, because when you decide to run away, even people run away from jail, with security or without security. Yes, we have jail.
Okay. So ikifikia hapo, wacha nikuulize tu swali la mwisho, and thanks for the response. Ikifikia hapo, what's supposed to be done? Any direction for the family? Any direction for now? What exactly they're supposed to do if such a cases have ever happened?
I already advised them, and I think they have done that. Let them go to the National Employment Authority.
Yes.
And to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They'll be guided from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the information.
You're welcome.
Asante sana. Basi huyo ni Regina ambaye ni tajiri wake Mura. So I think mpenzi mtazamaji pia umeweza kusikia kila ambacho amesema. Now my brother, umekuja umesikia kutoka kwake, sijui kama mmefanya jinsi ambavyo amewaelekeza.
Kuna ndugu yetu mmoja ambaye alikuwa Nairobi.
Yes.
Alijaribu kufuatilia lakini hakuweza kupata mwelekeo.
Okay.
Ikafika tukamwambia arudi nyumbani, tukae kama familia.
Yes.
Tuone ni lipi la kufanya.
Okay.
Ndo tukaamua tukaona kwamba tukija na tukifika kwenye kituo cha Mwamogusii TV tunaweza tukasaidika.
Okay.
Vile tumekimbia.
Okay, that's great. Now for those ones ambao wanatusikiza outside there kutoka Saudi, from everywhere, ombi lako ni lipi ambalo ungeweza kuomba? Na labda kama yupo huyu dada anakusikiza mahali, ama labda kuna mtu yote ambaye ana information, ombi lako ni lipi kwa wale watu ambao tunataka tusaidie nao kuhakikisha kwamba msichana ama huyu dada mwenzio amepatikana?
Ombi langu ni kwamba tukiweza kumpata akiwa hai, ni vizuri pia arudi nyumbani, maana yuko na watoto. Akuche kuangalia watoto. Okay. Na kama atakuwa hai, tuone ni jinsi ya namna gani kumtoa katika ile nchi kumleta nyumbani.
Okay.
Yeah.
Na an information, because wengi wamesema kwamba kuna msichana ambaye kwa huyu mwajiri alipatikana kama amekufa.
Exactly.
Any information about jinsi ambavyo alikuwa anaonekana, ama mna picha zake?
Picha ni vile tumekuja na ile yenye kwa nini kwa screen. Lakini picha nyingine pia hatuna.
Kwa sasa. Hako amepewa picha?
Hako amepewa picha.
Hata ya passport?
Passport nafikiri alipikwa na wakati alipokuwa anaenda. Nafikiria ile nchi ukifika pale kwanza, kitu cha kwanza wanachukua passport.
Wanachukua passport. Mpaka
contract ile yenye ulisaini iishe ndio waweze kukurudishia passport.
Okay. Yeah. Basi mpenzi mtazamaji, habari ndio hiyo, sijui kama ndio hiyo ama si hiyo, lakini huo ndio ukweli wa maneno. So sasa hivi nitakuchezea klipu kidogo sana aweze kutazama na ukaone jinsi ambavyo anaonekana. Kama wewe mwenyewe ulipatana na hiyo picha, labda iwe kwamba ni yeye yule labda alikuwa amekufa, ama kuna mara hapa yupo sasa hivi, this is what we call Kemboy, and it is there. Kama yupo na wengine labda wamemweka, tafadhali tunataka muweze kufikia familia kwa njia yote yule, iwe yuko hai ama amekufa. Kama hiyo picha ambayo utakayoona kwamba yafanana naye, tafadhali fikia familia ili ipate kujua kwamba ni nini ambacho watakikana kufanya. Kabla tuondoke studio, ni wacheze clip, tafadhali naomba tupatie namba ya simu for anybody ambaye anataka kufikia na information ambayo ako nayo aweze kukutafuta moja kwa moja.
Okay. Namba ya simu ni 07 02 43 52 74. Yeah. Turudi 07 02 43 52 74. Yeah. Majina ni Pastor Evans. Mkoa. Yeah.
Asante sana Pastor Evans, asante sana kwa kutuminia na kuja kuweza kusambaza haya maneno kisha kwamba watu pale nje wameyapata. Kwa hivyo mpenzi mtazamaji, kama uko pale na wengine wale madada zetu ambao wako katika nchi ya Saudi, tafadhali tuombe msaada wenu ikiwa kwamba umemwona huyu, ikiwa kama ni yule alikuwa amekufa ama mko naye labda aliamua kuwekwa na kina Kemboi, tafadhali we need the information because familia Iladi inahitaji msaada wenu kuja kwamba hali ya msichana huyu iko vipi. Kwa hivyo acha tuonane wakati mwingine majaliwa yake Mwenyezi Mungu, lakini kwa sasa nitaweza kuachia picha chache zile ambazo zitakuelekeza kujua kwamba huyu ndiye ambaye tunayemtafuta, ambaye tunazungumzia. Piga hiyo namba ikiwa kwamba umepata information yote, ama acha comment hapo chini kuhakikisha kwamba tumepata information enough ya kuwezesha familia kujua kwamba mwenzio yuko wapi.
Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV ale tiro barabu, Mwamogusii selo botaka gusi, Mwamogusii TV ale tiro barabu, Mwamogusii selo botaka gusi. Naigure bakwano nyamo mwana yo Mwamogusii TV, naigure bakwano nyamo Mwamogusii TV. Onya gutagete chikamera chinde chipoiruka iguru, onya gutagete chikamera chinde chikwata chimbaba. Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV. Owato muiga utaite muziki, Mwamogusii TV. Owato muiga utaite chidansa, Mwamogusii TV. Owato muiga utaite chibicha, Mwamogusii TV. Owato muiga utaite chikamera, Mwamogusii TV. Owato muiga utaite live streaming, Mwamogusii TV. Mwamogusii TV ale tiro, Mwamogusii selo botaka gusi, Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV, Mwamogusii TV.
Ero igwete nga ero goike jiro na bakugo bari baka isanegeti akogenda jiro nano zaga koega susani karatara moge kagotenga inje gotenga hani abantu mbale ata isanegete nenyomo bona eraga asitiko kujoma myaka yonse umano kubategere mwana gato sojero no bire ga ebinde manyaro moga kaisa mwana kaisa ine kumuluka gusokoro agira kumuluka tata wala ndone wala kali ndobili ikinta katemba de baramanya sakai to baba ntaba ngaine akara to ko waso wikogensi enyare kanenga no mangete nya sai no chogate binto biao bokogena na wono mosai eto kana chogate binto biao to ko mosai ole bosaigo yani uri mwana emyaka yonse choke binto biao ana kina tawa ne kanisa iga omondo nde kwens okunyoma musaundo batyo kunyoma ngidali ko ntebi ngabono ntakete kunyoma ngabono to chake sagero tumugorere ngombe tumwagachire nyomba tumugorere matresi tu ayega sia one ne digama jeso digango tebie ancha simisi iye bai ndagara ndugu amanganaro amaya nali abana banyasaye kiringa ki aje choke asobo kimobo amatukaerire okona komenya senka okona korukupoi ukona ngoli nga boy na ya kwa itawa grali ujule ngambo yokorokwa ege ndo kwale okoreke nene no we choka ekiagara kuna boy mpaka wala mataka na boy ya kimase kaiga boy atoka omuntu nakuruka baba emiaka yonse nkababa ngarakantu kababa okorokwa that is very wrong kiloko nakuruka baba nakuruka nana yonde gatata yonde toto i muntu kali yago tire toto riko ranga mokuru konde acha ndegete ngana imana la toto mai mokaya komore imana la toto ntaketien kumanyega my friend choke bintu byaho ya asobo gimobo omosaora muroso moiseke igomba manye anya kali omongo kastori namari momanyete momanyete ngora le mwakira mwanigele bosa ndagara nyuma anya momanyete anya kali ya somete akali nende akagenda ngombe ngamu garansta Hari tiga mata dia kan, mana pun mau pakai air tu deh, apa buat apa? Udah pernah pandai baru ada tiga kali, balik. Nggak apa nambah itu tambah telepon, banyak. Nggak apa nambah itu tambah telepon, kamu yang nana nana itu mai uruar, kamu yang punya gosok, gua kamu macam cubanan. Ini dia aku, nganyi gue itu bobi, ayo gue itu bobi, itu macam gue itu bobi. Jadi mau beri gue itu bobi, dia harus gue dengar. Ai gwete bobe enda mwamu asengencho nga omwa kada bana ko tagen amoro kyo muya ngumba tabi awara kya baya bale ko roga bantu batene haleluya bale ko roga bana bantu basome abaro kya baya bale ko roga barandi buna chinko baba tayi kira abura bale ko abaro kya baya buko bana ora bangera maiga baba tayi kana ora tumo ora ba tirulengo Aki bintu bila sih di connect. Nggak kena apa gantung kita. Apa poa? Namanya ko. Apa lagi ganai. Bintu ya nyoko. Tiga syukur ya au. Berarti kita cinta dari siapa? Ayamnya kan sawo ko tuli dia. Haleluya. Bintu bila ko tiga siap. Abantu bamenye romo ko. Abantu bamenye romo lembe. Abantu yani tu ikaranse. Bintu binde binge. Abantu bande bara kora. Kenal lagi. No ko nyangko nani nga to te bangai ina nga te ngomong ya nakale okor ka moro ya nakali ko mo igwe mo chiro mo ngate ile na nga tani ora nga ali ko mo igwe ga wona nga tiata ka mo igwe
ya basi mwancho mulire na kwa ni Mwamogusii TV enkoro y'Omugusii na nero ni goturi maigase studio tete gusanga naye abere atatu timatinganga Mwamogusii TV Mwamogusii TV
ero igwete nga ero ko ikijiro na bakugo bari bata izanenge akogenda ejiro nando zaga koega Sulisani karatara mongera kakotenga inje kotenga hani abantu mbale ata isanegete nenyomo bona eraga asti ko kujanga myaka yonse umalo ko bategere mwana ka tosojero no bire ga ebinde manyaro moga ka mwana yesa ine ko muruka gusokoro agira ko muruka tata bala ndobule wala ko ndobule ikinta ka temba de baramanya saha to baba ntaba ngaine akara to ko waso wi kogense enyare kanenga no mangete nga sae no chogete bintu byao okogenda na wano mo sae eto kana chogete bintu byao to ko mo sae ole mo saigo yani uri mwana emiaka yonse choke bintu byao nana dina tawo ne kanisa iga omondo nde bwens okunyoma musaonde batyo okunyoma njidali ko ntebi ngabono ntakete kunyoma ngabono to chake sagero tumugolere ngombe tumwagachire nyomba tumugolere matresi ayega ziao ne diga majieso diga ngotebie ancha simisi iye boyi ndagara ndugo amanganaro amaya nali abana banyasaye kiringa ki aje choke asobo kimobo amatuka elile okona komenya senka okona korukupoyi ukora ngoli nga boy na ya kwa itawa grali ujule ngambo yokorokwa ege ndo kwara wakoreke nene no we choka ekiagara kuna korokupoi mpaka wala wataka na korokupoi na kimasa kaiga poi gatonga omuntu nakurukuka baba emyaka yonse nkababa waragantu kababa okorokwa that is very wrong kiloko nakurukuka baba nakurukuka nana yonde gatata yonde toto i muntu nari ago tire toto riko ranga mukuru konde acha ndegete ngana imana ra toto mai mokayo komore imana ra toto ntaketien kumanyiga my friend choke bintu byao ya asobo gimobo omosaora muloso moiseke igumba manye anya tali omongo ka story ya mali momanye ngora le mwaki la mwani ile bosa ndagara nyama anya momanyete anya tali ya somete akarine ndega kagenda ngumba ngamu garansta Ani tiga pakai dia kan, mana pun mau pakai itu deh, ya? Tapi gue tak mau. Udah pernah pandai baru ada 3 kali, balik. Nggak apa nambah itu tambah telepon, banyak. Nggak apa nambah itu tambah telepon. Kamu juga nanya benar itu, ngai luar. Kamu nyuruh nyanggo sebuah kemo, macam cubanan. Ini dia kon, nganyi gue itu bobi. Ayo gue itu bobi, kamu itu ngai gue itu bobi. Tadi mau beri gue itu bobi. Dia harus gue tenang. Ayi gwente bobe enda mwamu asengencho nga omwa kada bana ko tagentu amoro kyo muya ngumba tawi amoro kyo baya bale ko roga bantu batene haleluya bale ko roga bantu basome amoro kyo baya bale ko roga barandi buna chinko baba tayi kira abura bale ko baya muko bana ora bangera maiga baba tayi kana ora tumo ora ba tinule Aki bintu bila sih dikone. Ngan kona apa tangan tu kete, apa poa? Namanya ko, apa lagi ganai. Bintu tiga nyoko, tiga syukur ya au, berarti kita cinta dari siapa? Ayamnya kan sawo ko tuli dia. Haleluya. Bintu beda ko tiga ko siap. Aman tu kami ngerom mogoko, aman tu kami ngerom molembe, aman tu yani tu ikaranse. Bintu binde binge, pantu bande bara kora. Kenal lagi. No ko nyang ko na niya nga to ba ngai ina nga te ngomong ya na kare okor ka mo moro ya na kali ko mo igwe mo chiro mo wa ile na nga kali ora kan kali ko mo igwe ra ko na nga ta mo igwe mo na mo ka ba kere situ amu mo ku igwe na ba kere situ mo ba tingente ki mo ke ba ni jiwe kama ngete ki umuntu yo yacanga musubati yo bakarutu agenda amasabo abana banyasaye basoka noranga ki anda abantu bale kanisa bakora bigutero jani bataga ya tarasalientera batinyo yako baba sabandi butambi inyasaye erenumencha inaite inabayetule panjani matogokya tarasalientera batinyo yako baba sabandi butambi Banyak ko. Mama na ko makatu ko na ci sara ba na ali ko to. Kasi na dia ko na mungkin na dia ko na bilis ko mo sebenarnya dan des. Mali mo takati ko ga sawo sabi to sa ba na se kero ko ko itamin. Atin era manyane. Main mo jan pa ko na. Te sara ko ila na sa mo na dia mo. Era magana ta sa mo bantu ay. Ang mga nabuhatan sa mo ay. Nung ako ba hindi mo. Hindi ko na natin mga buku udah orang itu demokrasi, naik nak kuat itu nama saja. Ada saya David. Ingin tinggi kok rasa disini kok sana. Kok rasa ini? Mereka kata nggak masuk kok rasa jauh. Mau cari ke tiap? Panggil apa? Nak kau banyak kan? Kau banyak. Iya, mana lalu tuan dia tak ada. Tidak. Na bara ile saburi ndio kwa kama mtakatifu kaja fata, yani kwa kama mtakatifu kaja fata. Patu mtu. Lakini meyai. Entirade. Como mas dio como uma astomento. Aqui bem mana assim em jogo da dessa batalha. E mano, né, mano, e depois Magina yo tara con rosa cara ngiro mo basta. Magina cara ngiro ro yo. Ni mo sa yo tara ko cara ngiro beke. Di kenya ni mo sa yo tara ko cara ngiro. Ina wataki mo kukungo ndaka bwata. Kukungo ndaka bwata. Kukungo ndaka bwata garwarite. Garwarite bubi. Kyangota muna ko chokora. Kukungo ndaka garwarite instrumento ngo garwarite. Akamale kerarwara. Hele sana habi wite ka wakire ngakibwaka se. Korwara li rwenkora. Lakini nyumba muhanya. Erno masaja nangena basa takal tigeni. Itu kiri mo masaja chuyo. Kama kongo ya ruara. Mugoli nake baba. Korango korole yasa nyo ko chimena, ni chinyanya, ni getunguo. Utara koralinde, awe basa linde ko miloki na kitari jamana kwa paya ni metirende. Akamala. Isoko poli poli. Agak jago kita bono, agak kita bono, agak kita. Nanti kalau saya kunci, juga boleh mulai. Aku kamu saya asal kalian lah. Asal kalian. Jadi kita sebetulnya tambah mungkin, karena kita marah, marah soal jembat. Ayah wanjak kayak bentuk kebiri, kau harus ini begitu. Begitu bentuk keburu, wajah, ketintel. Orang buat kerja ni. Masaje Julia akasoka kalenda. Sawa kita. Kalenda. Kama tukamera tatane, sanero magene sanero dada ko rasa, ini ko mabatana sih. Ode kero. Ako masaje yo aika. Otu ko baire to yo mukuna mo kena kita. Oye na go changa. Akara na kai skare ka kai ga. Akasusu ketan. Susu ketan. Terus mereka susu, mahan buatnya, ada sokapnya, ada soki bintu jalan. Ya soki bintu jalan, sekarang cukup anda kira, akan orang emang tidak sih, saya mah dia butuh ini. Kesudahannya kan nyolin, akan yang jalan lagi, mau kuku, bukannya bakal jaga kita, karena juga udah lagi untuk tubuh mesti, ada mau kuku nama. Akan di Madrid sini jomba, akan juga. Akan cakap aku tuh di Madrid sini. Aku tuh di Madrid sini ya. Akarara cincong gitu. Akanya nagasi ko murang. Akabonye ni sini kita kok. Sini kakak kok. Kira ko yung buat. Akacaka karan sa akacaka ko bara. Akakala 1 2 3 167. Na 200. 167 lagi. Chilifu. Usaha Julia kama kenjera. Tukute Madrid sekalia kanya ne kirete buya. Akasoka utandamba bwate birumo byarengo. Akasoka. Agenda. Akiyemusa kariye taxi. Number 1. Akaragora inga toko kana kiga tande kia 4x4 kamusaka gole matresi gole tamba chikonfota ngirunga ichi maranga no chikonfota asuka kuma konfota karara ile asi akagwa agenda airana ore birogo musachingia anasimu chi bas akagenda akade bili na gitari asirende akali tukakuye mukungoye amakana ambia kumasoki nena goja kaka golinda kira abana bakarayo bakayiguta asirende nyombe kajenje kabatingi ya TV ndebya agora shopping ndo mujukala kana bia pasirinde ekera kora igo ikagendera ika bitu kakagenda kuyo mukongo anakaliye taxi akagenda akaleta mukaya ko baralia kitali kama za kitali bawo ikanka mungu kana sa nyomba akanyole nyomba igechenjeti no yae branga lingaye ebali me ano ndiba sa jinga kadini kora me ajaki branga ni ndae akomenya kubo sobre la cañona, que mate sería corano. Ay, ya mate estaría iría, que tan ne que hago. Ona que me la curva que te haga bulire. Ona me graba con la culera. Yo no con la culera. Atriciano. Ella eren. Y con esta boca ya la lidería. Amaya ne madre sia kora kanyenda nire ndia korera chimese ona ekara chichobona kara kirite akamara kubulia basi bali nakiri ya isona nire te madre sia no ala yisi ne te madre ope kire tadi si alchoma digo na kutumo si alchoma bona la rengera diga te madre sia yente nagendo chimese marende itu kemudian mau ke mana dia dia pada juga. Nak apa sih makan nasi kama itu macam amora. Ebinte ya kira kan ada kuila ko bora. Kira nak apa dia? Ayam. Ini kita kata bang kira. Onya bantu bau cukup banyak saya. Onya bantu bau cukup banyak Yesus. Ebinte ini biar ko babia. Kira kan tua ke nam. Ini asing ngece jera to menyete. Itu sih tuan asal kami. Ini tuan berapa ya? Mau no tirar así que nada que me quita mono pumba toma eso eso digamba kwani asili tareso mbiyamore arangwani na nyakubarura haleluya mbiyamore mwezi ambuo ngono ano choche mugago yosileta bako choche na baba na roko moita sabi na nyamoita ono Sabina nayo le moyo kuiwa achokorombaraba muraba ka murambaro asoma ene kero tukuri ya ense bana tomenyete ese ya uncho nande ya uncho kire mangana kuna gukwa nwaro maene tware ko base nyumba ya Nyasaye na gukwa neke ene intu abatunywa maine ihoro kanga ya chire togendenka ebasinera sigetenka iga abantu tobegete mugaka kabwate besa yakagete ngano arabe birena binere mukungu kabwate besa akomanya ngata kodi kumwaye kende keyo ebesa igero tokonye muna bibilia goteba bangina mure biombe sokchi besa abana basomere mambyo bo montase gitara Yesu haleluya ayanchira na igo kako yene nyagitari umusaja jago sokora kibesa oche muja kuigwana nanyene biroge bino bikaransa mbigo kobanda bonje kwikaransa kwaje kwenyora kwarira gwati gakoriye ndagira stress yego ite okuotiga abantu bande babikaransa birogo ono nare goteba iga asobo mabwensenye number 1 goto gane tikora mwakira Nyasaye mbiyamo ekiagera asobo mabwamo nanche abatari baito mbiyamo nasinge chogocha igo narorire iga sagero noare bana bogo tumoma etenje tindiko rogo tenga ne message matera mange bono igo sagero Nyasaye obakonyire asa matera ino ne bibungo byoka biko babora akini nkora atema mure oyo gotegera ayetaka no korora kunie ko tie go tume style igubori igwege ntao kwana musajo uri agateranga amangana ngo chenchiare ekero gwaterete no nyenje kanya mangana tara chenchi asende ekera chenchi na bana inyoro gotera kwa unga anyo musajo uri gare gotogo semeria maene abangina mangana ngo korariki abagaka mangana ngo chenchiare one time tori go chikomenye njera kwa korteki kwa ringe bantona baseke bantona bakwane lakini mwisho wake olino boye bagotoberi bo ekeroba chakire to boye go gutie pi bago jagoja CN bogo jagoja yulea oso kibara maiso na omena chena ote ayeta kona wechandika Biblia yego tebanga igo tuacha twasisenie nga kitoko basisenia tobatebinga amangana mayana genderete ono nyomo gakorarete atigeta abantu baro bataba goika bagendererio bugima goika bachukuru egente kenene nyasago teba asigeta byo kwerenira kwa machiko ngorio wasomera ngoibu paka buone 6:2 ego teba 6:2 ego teba
ase obogima bwaino bwonsi
igwa abana banyasaye ase obogima bwaitu bwensi abayatore mo
inwe amona abana baino
bone ego tebana baino mugakere nakwete lakini inwe amotigarete inwe amona abana baino
na abachukuru baino
amona abachukuru
oikamoiro komonene
egendo togokora nyasa oli ore igoro tora moiro karitangani haleluya bangina soke kanisa ne bwato bongai kero tare ko ne kanisa nare ko nyara bwesibia bono lero muna na chi kanisa igombe ke tope ni susi baba ngusuma iri ne toyi igobana mana ta uchorere tiga asinya sai na gaja baga katika omonene ga goteba nga inwe amana abana baino na abachukuru oikato moiro kenya sai haleluya tomo iro komonene
Nasa ino na kobwate merobeli yaye
bona gotebekero tutigarite tore moyo erinya sai ga gotunyori tubwate merobeli yaye chikire
na machika yonsi
amona machika yonsi
ayonchenko bachika
yo
na lya matuka ino arabe amange
ekero tubwate machika nya sai amatuka ito gakora gento igakoba amange no nyanya sai na bagotebanga aseke mpungo bya saburi kerete ke bwatera niekyo ngaki amatuka itako ba mangi inkinya sa tagete tokore amatuka itaba mangi 34 ke bungo tworo yego tebana ke bwatera nieki ke ekitwaso
34 twori bwego teba ine no monto bwanji tobo
aje omo murori aje omo gako yaje no monto bwanji tebose obogima mbwanje tobogima nkibanda bakorekera turanjobogi
netiobe moya matuka
netiobe moya matuka mangi
na korora
amaja
irolie tanga oromeme rwao tirokwa na mabe
abangina gona ariko batebiga takona gotiana nkamuna chimbare nganya sai ko banko ekikwago nkete ekibagonkete omonene niga guseseni abana goterasa kimbe omonene gago siseni abantu bagwitera soro iboro abagaka omonene gago tebo babikira senka n'abakwani onya gotage torura amatuka amaja na komenya amatuka mange takona gotianira abantu iborete na kani mataranga no neba onya abana bamachire to babira siritre Yesu ege tokera barobwo matuka abana amake nitutu amenyira amatuka mange to amanyire sabune okora gento ekogera oboli mo soma haba ngamukama murako gachi ngatori ko chino mokwani ngabana onkomara biusasa marara biusasa olenka ya oyina ere tole komo ekegera ne komba odia na gorete amenyete bokungu ndeta goje kurumo ina te kodi ebintu bire bwane akomu bana mune chuma nje to ibonete nayo bokamba ni bera bwo na itebere bwane yasao chikire ngiki anyemere bwana asenetara Yesu endoke ngochiche nayo gwatanganira otagete kodi ebintu bya abana bane kero nare gokini abana kwana baseka oiboiro abakora teme tuokaga n'ekintu rago bana byasokire ahande bana yo tanga ine liko tori gotanga no inje ntanga no muna nayo bole teme tenyikanda ngasoki amachiwa karolekana asenetara Yesu amachiwa toke ndagire muno mokungole moyo ngeke onte bera bu tanga na kimanyi mogosoro otagete gotanga nenka yane ngantara chininchicha njakoraba geni kare gwatanga nete kwa bakwani aje esa itimire litiga osalwa tiga osalia itiragote kei nimbe kinyamirondo bakambi gitimirondo gutkaga ni gitabu yesabu ninche na ibona tali kwa ni elia secretary ya Yesu kei tad ngete bana ninche ayendole no emirondo yalinge bude bao wana ngo tichera seritara Yesu ko ibara no kuya bagaka to abana tagoetera kanu ege kogera abana bago korusyo boso abana na tebi abakungu amosaje na gose watebi ngentera mwana ngo mwana seritara Yesu ekagero mwana imamire go korusyo boso mugaka gako no gotoma tomya maisha gako no konyuma gochia kwaga jerwe permanent kare moino igakorigereria mesusa ya nyamo kuminga ingientu kege na agora tabon what's wrong with me one ngakingo kora kwana no mominori amatayo mo aka to ichana kam kwa matenga to ikanye bera boro bakon kwa radio mugati omutambe na aye kwa kora tigas ando so tuti mi ora to kwa ebibo ata wangina bakena wako kwa ebibo bake sioro lie ko ire to kaga ninche na musike tari agoso iwa ebkuya ma goteba onya koganetia matukama ya na ando menya matukama ange tangoro memerwa biyamura bange takona korama bakaba mura no ma etingo ekero tara twara mukama mura to bwati guri asekenyo to bwati to rikoyeri chikiro pi ege kogera bantu babanye tenjiro gukwana bantu babanye tenjiro kugaba ekero kwanyori mukama mura kwanyori ro mochukoro abantu bagota bamina kelemensio seni ono totebi bakamura bagoja kwa basari ngoja tasoma ati ayaire ngo igete ile ngo igete baba inyakari taro toseki ekero mukama murata some abakurunda basoma seritara Yesu no gweta matabe nenkoro aje eker injana hotebi ekera yo tasome ayasomi abai mo murogo nyata kwita America agacho kurogo koira bara America seritara Yesu igono igwete kirende kole go gutunde ayata soma igwa
na ibikoba byao tibikwana obongainereria
bikoba byao abanyina mbiyamole bikoba bya ino mbina go kwana obongainere na limo kamo murago akwa kwa magotanga momente manyamulo gotanga momente nayo yoga sako sogeta ngomento hari ekiagera kiriogo subagera kiogera utafuna mara moja. Wacha nikwambie ayuna watanga mubwate mune soni mwana ono musajo aye no musaja kamili no musajo odana na kaiboira sigete nere kubwataro yogo mune soni muno tageto ya seri gwe mara go banajo yogo chire ne mesigo ebetererete lakini nyago tebanga no omwana oyo migateta nere tigare ndwe na abana balendwa seritara Yesu kara mumurono tata oseri mukaye kambori ngo omuswati yo murabuse orengane tie merondo kamiri inkia kolete baba ndo chigabari lete munega sukari yasune metando kiabwati oyo bano tari kogenda mumurono nayo raruga agatabanga tikorore cheno mwalimu tinkonyo mukungu otabwati piho chigo kamobori akero kwa moyega ngokwari ko mobori ebintu byose munabikoteki munabire bakegero kore nyangi kwango oboringa ege somoso ono chise chota buboke ekero twatengire babakeme gongo ya butokire kamota na Antoni chene roko ibe ogo karu bakendake chena gote oyo tari kogenda nere kumbe kwango kwana igo moditare o moisho korogunga matara chuni kwa mugaka kobranya saone kana mubekira abwe metenye ko ere tano okoibwa otabaleluya Yesu bako bwana baba bera abumonda tari kogokuna nere rero tokoteri kwa ya nere ngibona bakira abana batatu bali bambuye kenya babuchitimaga kweli onte ibono ubwete ngakiota getego onte byayo onya gutagetora mangana maya oro memerwa oro tange romanya gukwana yara maya ase kinga cheito tokwana yara maya toseseni abana baito na abantu abo twatige ngegenda taseritara Yesu ngombe bena batebi baye tata menta
otiga mabe okora maya
bana bana banyasai motiga mabe tokora yara maya bana
oriyo moreme na koyotunya na
abana banyasai omorembo otoli yande pi lakini ase Yesu omorembo na koteki ekero tora ase Yesu omongina omoswati na toki chichabati bangina mokona kobodia bachukuronga nikimwari ete marago onya to irinya meyu gogo kusoko ba inkibo ayetoma ete bujeri ase gotoka ga asa ko kunyachaki na inja kogenda onya tingwa tibasa mbutolege tinya yasingi sarasi mata ngata ngonye getinya kinanje ngigole chitirisa bakubinga mata omorobeli noro abe kinege tinya kyo kambe geteli na nchira ani omongino yonena mate ko tare buche ta kuna korere bito byabandi mokama mulano muhamate arora ko arora ta ko obogi mambo gande ona ko bolinga chichabati emeronge tatu bo obosio bo banene ndagenda ngule na inchaka busikalika ga 75 konyora na inchentio bimisundiri ali mapaka chichabati emeronge tatu nchokolera bano bosibole tuka moina kogende konda kole miambi obosi ngora magutefata ngoro bosibole na inchenkole mirimo mwane abacho korba go jabate ngabane gasingase tendiga mulete kweli agenda mate binyoko ngane chichabati ngori ai wate kego sai bonga kyako bana otagete konte binga obo musebe tego nyarikana biblia yamanya kotebana ki ekero tole moya bana banyasa tenyare kano ibenda mwama sumana bo muntu omwana bo muntu ara kanyara ko konyo gwetani yo chigari muna bono egari mune yo mumuro yandi ni wota ga egari yandi etari yane na kumba saba na ali na bosio ngona busuma iringa ikekero lensa abantu bano lebaita oyimo muro no ndini osero mbaso nero ndini nero ndusiko rwali onde igaba n'abanyasai amangana amayaga ko bakinga kinde ganyama ngana amayango cyari bwo secretary ya Yesu ekerora saba amaya nyasai tawo gotiga ayigora tategeta wiki saburi 37 ekebungo ki abantu bari bakogekigwa yani koro cyo mwana obanda somire oyigwete nga ekerakura tegango tebi go komo chebisimita 100 huo gotokora kende kia ekiagera ime yao no moika bwibyo toro na nyasaye tari goseseri bantu kunao no gwata matabe nengo bana ba ko bare skuru teba nga nyasaye na nchema ge gande omane no seseni abana bane kera nyarekana tingo tware bisi aso mwana nara ikire omane no moseseni kiagera chinguru chama ko konji kora taki chiro onya ta ko gende university nyasaye mokonya gende gwa yaringia serikali ya Yesu onya ta ko gende university onya ta ko bo mwalimu omone no mokonye abe masonali chinyombechi omonto be university na maya kwa gadi osolo mekana sana sa to chiete technical abana bandi mo chande ta bayiboliga no ole kapiso ngali tutu boza automatic ngo ta konyorora abantu bao mandio sinuko ba mente ngana bayiboli okongentera linga tinto ya school na kanire onya mo kombetereri ngotirande kayotira nanyo kogo chigora kayotira gochi isoko bekire skuru soma na dawati mwana no lego tige skuru kama tebinga ngokoroma ikorome chinsema chos ege kogera ni mai tinga bosibu aya ngo chago nchando agati skuru mya kebere kama tebinga kama to wakimango ko atole lakini skuru era kogendo asa na makonya akamakonya akole university na alikuwa secondary ndera kale konte mama lakini mai tinga no mu ya pita atera ko nyondigire okandu machi okandu kanine chibase kwa kondose ero ka wote unu mumuro chete igoro kapisa otache ga chiko banga yaye tache kiserere tata na koromete bana na koira magendero mujori watu mukungu morabu so tache mune twani piko kamuroma kapisa kamuroma tiakwa beredi umwana mamina ya uchana mamina ya koboso ekiagera no ayana tinako tabia soma 7
obe no botoere rwase
ayo muntu nyasaye ogotangoro memerwa ona gokwana amangana amaya monene agoteba be no botoere asobosibwa monene
omoganye
otakoganye nyasaye no bolemereri
toge chigwa no muntu okogenderera buya asenjere
bana ba nyasaye to basokoge chigwa no muntu okogenderera buya onyango simega tinyeni chiaba naye nabora nyore kore toro mena kwa buli nabora nyore no mpuyeto kwa na kwa leta chinyanya njengo leta chiagunda igotoge chigune njira yane kogenderera nabonko beke bituma byama akini asenge jota mati ko beke robo ebyabo byabo gatumani to basa go chande aye ibere like chinga mongina ngati one bituma byabo bikokora byama ngotebi njengo takero boye bako gutiepi na aja sieni basi nande na tobeli gatatu bituma semili bagoko ingubobe na yonyore chiseme ngete omanene omotali isane kebungo kya isano ani ebukuyomo gusi ego tabanga egesire kyoge igoge goteri keregi Erenda nyando mongaini to gotaka chisemi chana na chikokonye. Toro rabubi eyatebanga ekero monta ko genderera bujia. To basa koro rabubo mongina. Ekero mwana obana chira America to basa nkorote gotunda. Maambie dako nyoro yogo kogenda. Obolimo osomani. Baba. Tubandi bakuragira marara. Tigango tebinga marara teyo. O akesa. Koruga aga so monta lure. Goika ikira goikaransa ko nyoro mugati akuri. Ebigari byakoreki. Nabagati bano. Igambo yamole. Kora nabanyayibera mukale ga kingi monya bere cheko gendadi. Iwa ayesome na isire gukora bano. Ngwako reri. Toge chigo ali no tware point nere saba. Yakora atiga metali aye. Eto agesa kuri 37/7 ni goturumbo kawo. Moto ko yuba ba machibu aye na ali aye na rega wa machibu. Na wala sagera agotuma iga ngana yo take gotuma oboli mo bosoko butoko mogo oyonari.
Omuntu yo korobelyo gosaria.
Bana igwa to base korobelyo gosaria. Bwana
Gwetanga kurwa senda mwamu.
Bana banyasai ebibiri yateba abagaka kobwo geta bangiri buya etange kurwa senda mwamu mo murango nyamaro mukungu abange tabaka abantu baligiriri anye mongino otamanyete ko bango kurwo bukumo bobese ngocha bari bakurugera kigasi okuragira bakesiro liyakubwa toge chiwa siro litepoira byentange kurwa senda mwamu mbiyamole etange yani toto gende skuru kwa gwa mwana na natanga kwa menya kurumo mwana age kanyeki okora kisa kanya no kuma okoroma kori bona na dia gusieka tota lipaka 12 baka yote ngokumiyore soma tigekeririanda abagaka tiako dogo totwanga kintu muna kwa nywa mete ko bwate miaka 30 nenje ngwa 25 mo kikodi hodi anyege to kiasaleka toikarase tori sontugata tonya resolution haleluya yani ni nuka mwanya wa ayegoro gasuli go obange ngete naye no moswali okoroteki o timtori abaya moroje mwege na mwaso anyomba tande tu abarugira nande mwarage kwa mure ngombe ko rwa irira gosono mubaraka nande na kurugira na gusibiri cyanga baade go to cyanga muri baka na taime taramuna aditaya ngomodabi ogo muna kwa bile school bano go tiga koyenga kyara bakaba mura bakira anko gosoerani kwa mura bakoro ke tata changirie koyeganje tata gata keiraba uwo boronge tokulera abana aba mura banywamire tobakani babasokoyega bakuba babere n'abaswati babo bano go tiga mwana otaba go mugaga tiga to akuba go tiokiru Oma ete chumanga igwate nene. Taku gaina abantu tiga gosori obwate. Obweto bagambi obwagendere. Habaga kabane monalite okora momongine gasa abana bakabakaba murange ebundi. Nyasaye masikani mobwate piso gotetabie. Onya togo chukumana ena gane tibataranga ndo sikumana sabana. Togende ikurwali totinganero no ngake keboko tindiko kurekera ni ntagete mambi abana babagambe. Twakorera alia ambi bana abana bakorera mama naye kwale korera ngoma tabiririye. Nganga nginje na igwete boli iki kiabe. Ngato igwete kankurwana ya yokora ngane mbura yali gotitira. Mana itare. Bana bangina bandi mura mogotondera mugako ngesa kanyomete tanya kongorera yanga wane kinegenda. Yanga toro chasi gotoka bagakamba mai tukura bakuchanga. Ose nintu bana tore na ande nintu tora inyore tomara Teresa. Nintu tora inyore ngo mugako kwa bekire cyanga kindabo kukara gendo bure suti. Nabangina bandi na boro cyo mugako gatyo gati cyanga igorange toprea ngana oro bigite bakesika tu buceti maiga boro chingwa mabira. Osaje okorete te ko kasi bari bucyanga sekretara Yesu. Ogwata matabire ne koro bagaka mutago ngikiara kieke boro. Okay. Mwako koretete dero koretete muna kwa mwanchete na handi kabego amakulia koregeto atwatanani abaga kambi yamole etubese jimoko bisani chat no ma tena ngokuro tiri tibesa kireka karu tibesa nge
ngende ndetege ntokuruga iganya cheki tuate na bora nyole butugongo kule ege ntoko kuna kinenda nganga tete ogaje bakaliririe kibasa ekeroga tete chiko rusie fariu chirusio mambie chingao chikoregeto chisoe haleluya bangina nole botanyi no ne sota njengo somia abana nyasa ulingoro se kubuncheri bwakiri olitiga omwana goko mosomi aretega nande takobeko omwana goko mosomi bakori chichabati gotegererete incheri bunero ngo bunchanga chwa ndao moberone pora litanga enda yanera ichura ingo kwanyore enda yanembiye ekiagera abana muri bokamba ni nabarobo tigango kani omwana akonyo bigoto ruarete mwana nje abana abandu arerete aro isoga igwete bobengo bore tole nyagitari kora atemora kobesa chinga kane mondo yugo gokonye oinera bana kwale kwengate ngate ngamuchumba one yaani muchumba ngokonyosa diaro kobe karara agira kokwanyo le sota akamune begi nyego swana onyo le bienda bikanye koso ekorengere elindo sobya bana bande tote berelo yomo mbiyamole ngamo tige koragira ngamuchumbe ngoko ale siboro liba ko ikasense ngotambi yole chimyoro buno moindi korero mochumbe babwate sauti kanyo miro mokungu ko to gwake lukwae ogo chiko matami atata otago tena tukwana mongina tinene liba ngo ina nani barago chiko baraga mano yoga unchoire ba ago chule kyagaro yo chire go ikaunchole ba abangina mbiya mole toge chigwa no monto ko gendera biya asenjera yaye omongina gona tebya yasawo konye akobo gimobo aye some getabu yeko kusabuli 143 waro so amerike bugo kere matabu kere ekebugo 10 sabuli mongina atagete nyasa ko dende sabuli 143 verse 11
Egotebaiga ayo monene
ono mongina tagarara muno mogaka gotigeta abangina abatagarara muno mogaka abatigeta muna abanywomete no inje tata nabakungu babera bwate lakini mataranywa abantu ingwanje ndiri kale mwari ko nywa asichinga kichiri chakare muna bano musiko minto basogata chop tata gatebanga nasi mande tero muswati ndeto omwana one omudera sago choswa igomo iboli omama managoteki naro no mama osirete no wali na indi wana muna mole babere boro mongina nayo manene osino nayo mokuba abangina ababakale bayenga abaya aba lakini lero gikurwana bobe lero gikugwata na oyo gochimakari yari ndamwa mukiye ne bintu bana byabo naende abangina bege tombangere tababa ekero yachete iga igwere to paka bamenyire paka abantu bakorere ki bakini obolimo basomaye baba lero balero nono gokwana ningo kwana ni bale ocha abakala batali baba baikara setamo no chiba usumali bule chitori baba yasanya ko basitseni mabero erinde ko rwaro mokinya abantu abanyasa akoriki abayi somang
ayo monene ingobo gima obo yas
abangina abayigwa ingu bibiri muna gote wana omogo sabanga ki omonene wana tobo gimobo ya bogimobo ya ebano
asengenje yeri etali yao na asengenje yoboronge bwao Rusio moyo ne kurwase emechando.
Bona abangina aba. Ebe sekere taraja takuna kuyomi. Takuna kolera. Na ya gatoke ka onkara na cha iranye cheki. Beta kanyame kuota samba. Tali bano bwate. Oko ganie kilo tego go itenda ya one bo ni kilo. E kuota ge gore teki e go isaine. Ege ndokio kankeringa omonene. Ingobo gimobo ya. Elindo ngoboronge bwao. Aina ara mangana maya saba ngina bo boli mo so mai bana go saba nande menta
asengenje yobwanjani bwao
bwanya sai bwabo tambe
siria babisabane
bantu bakono bokwana abantu bandi bubi ngo siri guore okona kongamba bubisi nje bankali ko eta ata wa eto isidero enjira agutara mune twanie peacock lakini akero na arabo getemero no kwa tama ngora itare nyesa etago kerorama nabone akero kia na akero rire nkyo kombo akero na akero rire ryosi nkyo koira kimyorogo aya sabirani na nkego sabirani asedetara Yesu abana muri agende school tago cyanda abayiboli barerire abana rero bagutule bintu kuruka bagenda gwakira sport pesa betting ya cyandi na abana kweli onya seina ateka yo muri negesu epuru abasaja bagi mamonyu amete koruma bino ko na gobete paka ka oso iga jonyo ari tibasoko nyira abantu bawo musaja monene gobete erongi no mochibio pap ngendo kieke bon na gani matala ngati korona no korigere ritorigere riga ekyagera birine bine tabikoro kuri munandi omuntu ga chiro iga munabona omugakonde na cheta kaire ngo ekera ire ngombe ao ni umwana yorangire tugochi kereri ogo ikaga bwo akanyora bamurambaro kinga egendo ngekarege koro kuchinganda gekare ko bekunse bagota ebinto tikati tiri bakamuri ngora bake ngomba ona tikiri gwe 35 chikaere ragari kera cyara bana karusianga gatigara busa bana gachaga gotuma munege sami oiso bake akanyora bana na kigo cyatebanga agatiga bukaira ebwike yakyabete akara atiga bukaira akararangira agasoa asaka roje abantu bakwirira mabere tabaka akeya ke esika akeya ka bakomotu akeya akarua bana akarambiriri inse abantu bagwetana mabere saa 11 kuri no muntu kenege tu oyo amakobwa akiro gotaba yati yankan okonya no muntu tari kwa ya no tari okoraki agake nyurugo muntu kwirira igo bamo itete anebe seria gosireri ekyagera nkango itwagoki aba muraba gacha bano bako manyaganyagari bakanyora akirete munege tu mo muronda agataba ngakuna gatumu obota bwati bikongo lete gucha gosende buye nyoroze akamenya gataba ngasuka mageka suka akamenya ko moto yo manga chwa akalemerere oyo kabya baba gakitika motel aba muraba ito no anyamu anywomire binto biri ukikogera emiti yine byo binto biri ukikogera musomi bana bayino onyamo ko bitiga egento gekorugo petting negento gekorugo sport press negento gega kari korugo pur ne binde biro ebya machaya abara boganda onya kwaro likimyorgo cyo wakule no nyakule mo poibero ra bayibuli bawo paka cyo ayebye ko manyene ngo itole muno mo ibinche nabate ege kogera bakochi kuiba engento yayonyore kibasokore gento ochikuakira obuli bayibuli gusoma mwana ndeka bakore TV yaise asinge ntari yetu kibasabwa ate eli bwa 40 kaliro musara akamanya ko TV yaise akaye ukiri bukominemo na handa akaliye pi obonobo mamoro kitokomenya ogomo kagete obororomboro nale batebo someta ukibiro igana akolire omo murana radio gosaba bya sana motegerera abamuraba momuranaro oyo mongi na iborete agasaba mangana mayasana etabike biro yeritangani inyeke bugo kianda toigwa manganaro abamuraba motegerere onya to gotegerera mangana ya gukwana ugo gosiraje naote yewa mangana yebiro eyerabu fast from amana yebiro yeritangani 4:9 abamuraba nataka basabe ogusaba okukorega abo mangana yebiro yeritangani yerego timo bano kwanyole 4:9 osome turumbuke abo
4:9 ni kutebaiga yape shinigo alenge namasikani
ono igwa aba murana boko ibora na 5 lakini omwana naroyo omo eterete omo muroyo korgo yabesi iga alenge namasikani
amanene ko abamuraba
mwabo
nyina akamuro kayabes
nyina akamoeli etari korgo yabesi
ekiagera amoiborete asobororo
amoiborete omwana oyiga iborete asobororo ebano
yabesi akarangeria nyasaye bw'Abaisiraeli
yabesi akarangeria nyasaye bw'Abaisiraeli akabura
onyaye ndiria kwa
nomurori karwaye ngo ngore sioro lyaye igwa yabesi akarangeria nyasaye bw'Abaisiraeli akabura
onyaye ndirie kwarenge gose
omonene ndiri kwarenge gose senia
naende
naende ogareye obamenyo bwane
naende okoboko kwao
koba amona nche
naundende korwase obororo
ondende korwase obororo tibo basa gokora bobe abana banye ayo notigeraho nyasaye agakora gento twale gwanjera abana baito nabaro basabo gusabo okoboko kwa nyasaye ko base baro ekero moranje nari reba nona basubati ababa abatweyoira ababa kaba murabaito amaye no bororo baragokore bobe nabako nyamusaju gakunywa marui mukiri bakengombo irire tagwe kora bobe igere dio musarabo kari bari osabe nyasaye mambiende ngombe ngaoneje haleluya musaje kera ko irubororo abantu okoibora gwekaba gutinya marika moigweta abangi nambia abagaka nabo okoibora omukungu akoli nobokima takorera buna ri mwana tebinya sawo mukungu yonere kwangete nere tokomenya nere mwana nonge kisemi nobungaini abana basome mambiende bamukirikiri elinde nyoro mole basiri dala Yesu asa eta wanja bangi nambia mole kwaragira pipipipi wasibaga gisani musacho no okarigo nywa marwa tabia abana mbatera igoro tekoroji mogaka mobo kima ekagera nako nywamete agakorusenyo na abali tungora barasa monto inasire te kanje nagote na wana mataraku gona rebo bisa ekera na nkonyete na mugaka linya motu no na linya motu liande linya motu lakini ankabu sababu na koroteki na bwati na lego kora moteba mwana ni nyasaba seni abangi na bababera aba mosaba gosaba kora aya somere kitabu yitokore ase kitabu yesa 71 verse 5 71 asome kara somera ekebungo 18
Zaburi 71 18
soma
yego tebaiga ayenyasaye
ora bangina nataka musabeiga ayenyasaye
to baisa go chwara